Rewind 2021. There was a parade in my city. Number one pick, dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the gritty. Kid arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Skyly B. No, when he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him wash when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it really hot. Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Dudes went number one for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Win Benyama.
Cade Cunningham.
He was raised a Texan, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade.
Forgot about Cade, they forgot about Cade. Forgot about, how you forget about Cade?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Deuce Show. This was a bad loss, man. Very disappointing loss tonight for the Detroit Pistons as they fall tonight to the Atlanta Hawks 132-130 at home. And guys, we got a lot to talk about. There's only two main things we're going to get to tonight, but they are very, very glaring. And we are going to spend a nice amount of time on it because it's necessary and because it needs to be addressed ASAP. Let me start with this. I know that this was a very close game, down to the wire game at the very end. And, you know, the Pistons late in this game had a chance to tie the score. Maybe you didn't like the play that was drawn up. Maybe so. Maybe you didn't, maybe Trae Young hit a very tough shot that wasn't very likely, but it's Trae Young and he made it. Maybe so. None of that matters. None of that matters. Why? Because this game should not have come down to the wire. Which brings me to my initial thoughts. Two words. And I've said this all season long. 4 quarters. 4 quarters. The Pistons need to focus on playing their style of basketball for 4 quarters, or at least as close to 4 quarters as possible. They cannot expect to win games by turning it up in the second half and thinking you can just put teams away. It happened last night or yesterday against the Chicago Bulls, against a team that really isn't a playoff level team. But when you're playing teams that have the ability to fight back and punch back, and they have a star in their team who can get buckets the way this team does, you can't afford to do that. And that's what they did tonight. The Pistons have to be consistent for 4 quarters. And tonight, the Hawks did not let them off the hook. The Hawks were motivated. They came into this game losers of 8 straight games. And you could see from jump, they were desperate to end that streak tonight against the Pistons. You could see it from the very beginning of the game. And there were 2 main keys to this game that really hurt the Pistons. We talked about 4 quarters, right? But there was 2 keys to this game. The first one was the lack of defensive focus. Focus on the defensive end. They did not have it. They were not locked in defensively tonight for the entire game, especially in the first half. They were not crisp on their rotations, which led to a ton of open shots from guys I'd never heard of before. And they were getting beat on backdoor cuts over and over again for layups, especially in the first half. They did not seem focused on the defensive end of the court. Let me take a break here and say what's up to everybody. Appreciate you guys popping in. Very tough loss, man. Devin, what's going on, bro? Yeah, February 6th, we're going to get to that too, bro, as far as what that means. And, okay, so like I was saying, man, the Pistons didn't play a full game. That was the first key, though. The first key was the lack of defensive focus for the entire game. They had it in spurts. Definitely had it in spurts, right? And you could see that when they played that way and when they committed to that end of the floor, they were able to get back into the game. But when you don't do it for 4 quarters, you're not going to win most games. And the games you do win are not going to be against playoff teams. Plain and simple. The second key to this game was something that we've all talked about. Devin just said February 6th, and he's dead right. He's dead on. We talked about that. We talked about this second point I'm going to mention just as recent as yesterday when the Pistons beat the Bulls. And this needs to be addressed like right now, today, tonight, overnight, whenever, tomorrow morning. I don't care. It needs to be addressed. When Cade Cunningham sits down, the offense struggles mightily. How bad? To the point where in the second quarter, the Pistons had 0 field goals in 8 minutes. 0 field goals in 8 minutes. The Hawks went on a 17-5 run in that quarter during that span, and the Pistons offense just stagnated. They kept turning the ball over. The offense looked terrible. They weren't getting quality shots. And when Cade sat down, the Hawks just kept scoring. They took advantage of the turnovers. They took advantage of the bad possessions. They knew, like most teams know, that when Cade sits down, the offense is going to struggle. And in that second quarter, the Pistons found themselves down by as many as 14 points. 9 at halftime. In the second half, they did turn the defense up. And that's why just 3 minutes into the third quarter, they had the lead. Just like that. Like I said before, man, when you're playing teams that you are better than, you can get away with it. Case study number 1 was last night. They played the Bulls. They didn't play 4 quarters. And the offense looked terrible when Cade sat down and the Bulls challenged. Thankfully, the Pistons were able to get back into it and win the game because they are a better team. And they were able to just turn it on, turn up the heat, and get the win. The Hawks are better than the Bulls, guys. They're better. They're a better team. And they were shorthanded tonight, and they were still a better team because they have what the Bulls don't have, Trae Young. Trae Young is a bucket. Trae Young is a guy who you want in the fourth quarter because he can draw fouls, because he baits guys into getting fouls, because he's a finisher. You don't want to be in a tight game with Trae Young. You just don't, which is why you need to put teams like this away early. Get your work in early. The Pistons did not get their work in early. They allowed the Hawks to hang around. Large part because they don't have a backup point guard. If you want to compete in the playoffs, what you did tonight is not going to work. I said it just last night. You're not going to win too many of these games when you play like this, when you play up and down, peaks and valleys. You play great, then you play terrible. Play great, you cannot do that. It's not going to work. And the offense was extremely hard to watch when Cade would sit down. Every time he sat down, it was hard to watch. Every time. So much so that the Pistons offense on more than one occasion featured Asar Thompson ISOs. I love Asar Thompson. He is nowhere near his best when he is ISO, when he is an ISO, trying to get his own basket off the dribble with shooters around him. That doesn't make sense. That's bad offense. Bad offense. That's the last thing you would need Asar Thompson to doing. Asar Thompson moves well without the basketball. He's a great cutter. He's able to get offensive rebounds. A lot of times he's at his best when he doesn't have plays drawn up for him, much like Ron Holland. He is not a kind of player you want to put the ball in his hands and say, give me a bucket. And multiple times tonight, the Pistons did that because, like I mentioned last show, the Pistons don't have a table setter. So you have all these guys who are not point guards trying to do point guard things, trying to facilitate offense for others when that's not their role. It works sometimes because you have guys in the pinch like Tobias or Malik Beasley or Asar at times who can get a bucket or two for others at times or initiate offense at times in the half court. But then you're going to have other times like tonight when it just looks bad. And that was the case tonight again. It happened last night. It looked bad. Tonight it looked bad. They don't have a table setter right now. This is once again what I call the Jaden Ivey effect. When Cade goes to the bench, you don't have a Jaden on your team who can slide to the one and run your offense, get buckets for himself and get buckets for others. He's not available. That is why he is so important to this basketball team. That is why, in my opinion, he is the perfect fit for Cade because he can play either role. He can be a point or he can be a 2. As a starter, he's a great 2. When he slides to the 1, he runs the offense, and Cade can chill. Once again, Cade played a ton of minutes. He played 40 minutes again tonight. 38 minutes to be exact. That's too many minutes. Too many minutes for Cade. Too many minutes, man. The Pistons have to address this now. If they're serious about contending for the playoffs and making noise in the playoffs, with this roster as currently constructed, if Jaden isn't available, they are going to get exposed. They are going to get exposed. When you're playing the same team over and over again, when they can identify your weaknesses, you were already seeing teams who are not playing in the playoffs. This is just one game, right? When you have a series to break down a team and watch film of a team against a team you just played a couple days ago, it's going to become glaringly clear that that is an issue. And the Pistons are not going to do on the playoffs if they do not address this now. Trajan Langdon, if he's serious about making a push for the playoffs, he has to make a move right now. Right now. I know I'm saying it over and over again, but it's that important. If you watch the game tonight, you understand why I'm so hell-bent on this point. You get it. You get it. So, with that in mind, a report came out today about the guy that I want the Pistons to get to address this issue. Lonzo Ball. We saw him play last night. He would be a huge difference maker in that role. And he would really allow Cade to rest for as long as he needs to when he sits down. He won't need to play 38 minutes a game. He can play maybe 33, 34. And the game will be over well before the end of the fourth quarter. With the athletes that this team has and this team has, with Lonzo in that second unit, his ability to create shots, easy shots in transition for this team will be huge. Imagine Lonzo on the wings with Ron and Asar. Easy bucket after easy bucket after easy bucket. I'm getting tired and I'm getting exhausted with the Pistons just getting off to great starts only to surrender the lead because the offense gave up the lead as soon as Cade sat down. It happens over. It happened again tonight. Great. Cade got off to a great, and we'll get to Cade. He got to a great start. He got this offense rolling in a major way. Well-oiled machine it looked like to start this game. As soon as he sat down, the Hawks took control of the game. And it's becoming a pattern now. It's becoming a pattern. If they want to contend, they have to address this right now. There are 3 days left before the trade deadline. And I will be very, very disappointed if the Pistons do not get this done because they absolutely have the ability to. All that the Bulls are asking for is second-round compensation for Lonzo Ball. They're not asking for a bunch of players back. They're not asking for a bunch of draft capital back. That is, as far as valuable, they're not asking for first-round picks. They're asking for second-round compensation for Lonzo Ball. That's it. The Pistons can do that right now. This came out earlier today. If Trajan isn't on the phone, if he doesn't make this move, if he doesn't make a move to get Lonzo or somebody of that ilk, of that brand, then that tells me he's not serious about contending for the playoffs. That's what that signals to me, right? Because there are plenty of point guards out there who can run your offense for you off the bench. Backup point guards are not that hard to find in a role playing 15 to 17 minutes a game for you. You can find that. And when the offering price is only a second-round pick or second-round compensation, there's no reason you shouldn't get it done if you're serious about contending for the playoffs. Like so these next 3 days are going to be very telling for me as far as what the front office is trying to do this season. If they are not trying to make a push, we'll know because we will not get a backup point guard in the next few days. It's that simple. It's that simple. They have the ability right now to make that move. Will they? We'll see. This was a very, very disappointing loss. It's so frustrating to watch our leads just disappear and to watch teams who have no business being in the game with us. They just lost 8 straight games, guys. They were undermanned tonight. This shouldn't have been a game. It shouldn't have been this close. It should not have been this close at all. That's what's frustrating. And we talk about it. I've talked about it. I understand that you're going to lose games, right? I understand. I'm not saying the Pistons have to win every game. I'm not saying that. They got a game tomorrow against the Cavaliers. I'm not expecting them to win that game. I'm not expecting them to win tomorrow night or Wednesday night against the Cavs. But it's how you lose the games. It's how you lose the games. If the Pistons played great defense all night long, they were locked in, and we had somebody to run the offense for us in the second unit, and we just couldn't make shots, say everybody was cold tonight. Say Beasley was cold. Say Tim Hardaway Jr. was cold. Say Cade was cold. Say nobody could buy a bucket. But we played sound basketball. Give me that. I'll hold that L. I will hold that L, and I will move on to the next game and not even be upset, because that's going to happen sometimes. Some nights you're just not going to have it going. But when you have areas that are glaring that you need to fix and you don't, that's frustrating. Especially when you have guys like Cade putting on the kind of performance he put on tonight. Cade was absolutely incredible tonight. He didn't play perfect, but he played very, very, very well. He played about as well as you could play for a guy you're asking to play 40 minutes. And that's the key. Dominique, what's going on, brother? You know I appreciate you as always, man. My guy. Dominique, guys, listen up. They only want a second. Make it happen. I don't hate the kid, but I've just never been a Sasser guy. Lonzo can run the second unit offense, and he's 6'6" at point guard and provides defensive size. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to read this again because he just echoed exactly what I've been thinking and was thinking the entire game. I'm going to read it again. They only want a second. He's talking about the Bulls, Chicago Bulls, just so you guys have context. The Chicago Bulls only want a second round pick. Make it happen. I don't hate the kid. I'm with you on that. I don't hate the kid, but I've just never been a Sasser guy. Lonzo can run the second unit offense, and he's 6'6" at point guard and provides defensive size. Guys, Dominique hit it on the head. I'm going to leave this up here. Thank you, Dominique. I appreciate you, bro. As always, man, my guy. And we always seem to be right here, too, is what we see on the basketball court. So that's why I love reading your comments. But, guys, listen, man. He hit it on the head. He hit it absolutely on the head. The Pistons struggle mightily when Cade goes to the bench. I don't dislike Sasser either. But like I said yesterday, he's still learning how to play the point guard position, guys. It's honestly not fair to him to put him in this role without another point guard on the court with him. If Sasser is playing, I want him playing alongside a point guard, because he's a shooting guard. If we had a point guard playing alongside, if we had Alonzo or somebody else, Alonzo playing alongside Sasser, you would see a totally different Marcus Sasser. Totally different Marcus Sasser. Totally. He would be getting buckets because he would have somebody who can set him up, as opposed to him trying to do both. Sasser's trying to run the offense the way that JB wants him to for the second unit, and he also wants him to get buckets. You can't ask Sasser to just get buckets, because if he's only getting buckets, that means the only other four guys on the court are just watching. That's the only downside of Sasser just getting buckets when he comes to the game, right? Think about Vinny Johnson, who many kind of reference with Sasser, the microwave. When he played, he had the ability to get others involved, but his primary focus was what? Buckets. And when he was on the court with either Isaiah Thomas or Joe Dumars. Both of those guys can both get their own and set the table for others. That's why you need a guy like Lonzo. That's why if Jaden was here, Sasser once again would look very different. Take those three guys from then and take these three guys from today. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Vinny Johnson, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser. It's the same thing. In your starting lineup, you got two guys who can do both. Point guard or shooting guard, they can play. Off the bench, you can have your microwave now, because whether it's Cade or Jaden that goes to the bench, Sasser can still play with somebody who can set the offense up. That's the point. When you got Sasser by himself, without either one of those guys, because Cade's on the bench, he has to rest, and Jaden's not available, you're not going to see the Marcus Sasser you want to see. You're not going to see it, which is why you need Alonzo Ball. I hope it's getting through. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying and what Dominique is saying, because he hit it on the head. The things that Alonzo Ball can do for this team is exactly what the Pistons need right now. He would solve so many problems. He's a good defender. He's a great facilitator, and he's a good shooter, thanks to Fred Vinson, who he will be reunited with if he came here. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. And once again, he would allow us to get so many easy shots. So many easy shots. And for a second round pick, if you don't pull the trigger on this, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to say. It's gonna be very apparent to me what like I said before, it's gonna be very clear that the Pistons are not serious about the playoffs this year if they don't address that need, because it's not something that is too hard to do right now. It's not. It's not. They're making Lonzo available, guys. They're making him available. And they're making him available for pennies, for cheap. Me and King talked about this pregame. Second round picks right now, we have enough young talent on this team. We don't need second round picks right now. So if you can get Alonzo Ball or a Colin Sexton, as I saw somebody else mention, or somebody who can run the offense. We're not asking anybody to be a superstar off the bench. Just maintain the lead. Just hold the fort down. Just don't have Cade watching the scoreboard, watching the clock, trying to get his wind and having to come back into the game. Cade came into the game in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes to go. 9 minutes to go. That's a long time to play if you expect him to play the whole fourth quarter. I want to see Cade coming back into the game with 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left. Depending on how well the backup point guard is playing, let him go longer. And if we had a backup point guard, sometimes Cade can sit the whole fourth quarter because the game was already in hand. The game was not in hand tonight because we couldn't hold on to the lead because we didn't have backup point guard play. That's the point. That is the entire point. It all comes back to the same thing. Not the last second shot by Trey, not the questionable call or questionable play or at the end of the game for Tobias. None of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. If you have a guy who can run the offense for you in your second unit, it doesn't matter. So once again, the Pistons have to address this now, right now. If February 6th comes and we still have this same lineup, I'm disappointed because they've said that they want to push for the playoffs. Show me. Show me. And I'm not saying that Trajan isn't trying to. I'm sure there are other bidders out there, but make it happen, bro. Make it happen. You have to. You absolutely have to. Dominique, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, man. He'd also help Cade the games, the full court. He'd also help Cade the games, the full court press. Cade. Lonzo can bring it up a few possessions to keep Cade. Yes, absolutely. Yes, they will. But that's the thing. Like they're pressuring Cade like this because there is no other facilitator on the court. We saw this a couple games ago. They're doubling Cade, and Cade has to try to get the ball to the middle of the court or to the middle of the middle of the court in the paint to Paul Reed. Once you get it there, you're good because now you got Ron Holland cutting to the basket. Now you got an advantage because the double, the ball is ahead of the double. Now you got a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2. Cade can play well with Lonzo as well. Jaden can play well with Lonzo. Any of these guys can play well with Lonzo. Sasser, Cade, Jaden, just get a guy. Just get somebody. I understand they're trying to groom Sasser. He's not ready yet, guys. He's not ready. In the fourth quarter, when Cade sat down, turnover. And it wasn't all just Sasser. It was the other guys who were not point guards, once again, who were trying to make plays, and that's not what they're used to doing consistently. They can do it in the pinch, here and there, but wouldn't it make more sense to have a guy that you can just go to and say, here, run the offense for me? That's it. That's literally it. So once again, Dominique, I agree. Again, he will solve so many problems for this team. Okay, man. Let me check a few comments and we'll get right back to it. Fontecchio was, yeah. We're going to get to these guys. We're going to get to everybody who played tonight. But if the Bulls want a guy on the contract for another year, probably not. That honestly, case cracked, you could be right. But I hope Trajan's on the phone trying to figure that out. I hope he's on the phone trying to address these questions and get the answers and make it happen. You could be right, case cracked. You could be right. I don't know. None of us do. Only they do. But they got to get it done. They got to get it done, man. They do. All right, guys, let's get to the box score, man. I'm not going to make this a long stream tonight because I'm irritated with this loss, especially with the upcoming schedule. This was a game you got to win. You got to win this game, man. You have to. This team has lost 8 straight. I'm not disrespecting them. I'm just saying you're not supposed to lose at home to a team that's lost 8 straight. You're just not supposed to, especially in the fashion that you lose it. All right. Let's start with Cade, man. And this is so annoying because, once again, Cade played about as well as you can play when you look at all that he was asked to do. He didn't shoot well tonight, right? He didn't shoot the ball well tonight, but he was tired. He was tired, man. That's why in the fourth quarter, he turned the ball over with under a minute left. He was gassed. He was gassed, man. You could see it. And you don't want your franchise player gassed at the end of the game. A way to help that is to get a backup point guard again. So I'm going to leave that alone. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. All right. So, Cade, 30 points, 14 assists, 6 rebounds, only 3 turnovers, on 8 for 23 shooting from the field. Like I said, he struggled. 1 for 6 from 3, 13 for 13 from the free throw line, 3 turnovers. Let's start there. We always talk about what? The assist to turnover ratio. Last game he had what? 15 assists and 3 turnovers, which is a 5-to-1 ratio. Tonight he pretty much had the same thing. 14 assists and 3 turnovers. That's like a 4.8-to-1 ratio. Cade is hooping. He is hooping, man. He didn't miss a free throw. He didn't shoot the ball well, but once again, I attribute that to 2 things. The fatigue and also the defenders at the wing position that the Hawks have, right? DeAndre Hunter, Dyson Daniels, those are very good perimeter defenders, guys. Very good. So for Cade to only have 3 turnovers and 14 assists, I'm not even concerned about the 8 for 23 shooting. I'm not concerned about that because he did everything else well. Every single thing else well. He was efficient in terms of his free throw shooting, 13 for 13. I hate when performances like this by Cade get wasted. I hate it. I absolutely hate it because it's so unnecessary. This should have been another win with the great performance by Cade. Terrible, man. That's bad. It's bad, man. But I will say this on the flip side, on the positive side, when it comes to Cade, it's good to hear the MVP chants. It seems like fans are really beginning to understand what they're looking at now. They're understanding what we have. They're seeing it more and more. Long gone are the Jared Goff chants. It seems like before the Pistons fans were just looking for something to cheer for. And now that they're winning, and now that Cade is shining and getting the credit that he deserves, everybody's waking up. And they're seeing we have an MVP level type of player. All NBA level player for sure. I think he may make it all NBA team. We'll see, depending on how the Pistons finish the season. But Cade is a superstar, guys. And he showed, once again, why he was tonight. He matched his career high for assists in the first quarter alone with 7. 7 assists in the first quarter. I think no turnovers. His pick and roll action with JD is becoming lethal. I talked about it before, guys. He is going to be what Chris Paul was in pick and roll. Cade's going to be much better because he's much bigger. He can do everything that Chris Paul can do. He can shoot just as well. His decision making will get there. It's already on its way. Chris Paul is one of the best decision makers, high IQ guys in the game has ever seen. But at Cade's side, Chris Paul is 6'1" on a good day. Cade is 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". 6'6" on a bad day. 6'8" if you count his hair. So Cade, man, he's a superstar in the making. And we're witnessing it right now. And I just hate performances like this that get lost and don't get remembered because of the Pistons not being able to close out games like this. It's very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Oh, man. Okay, let's get to Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway didn't play that great tonight. He did play good defense. He played very good defense. He had 7 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 turnover, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line in 27 minutes. So, solid game. You know, he didn't do too much. He played great defense. He played great individual defense. He played physical defense. He didn't shoot well tonight. I'm okay with that because, once again, he's only taking 7 shots. 7 shots. He's playing within the flow of the offense. So, I'm okay with Tim tonight. Solid game. Solid game. Not great, not terrible. Just solid. Asar Thompson. 13 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, 3 steals, 3 turnovers, 4 for 6 shooting in 25 minutes. So, guys, Asar Thompson had the responsibility tonight of guarding Trae Young, as he did last time when they faced off. And I like that matchup, even though Trae had, 34, I think, tonight? What do you have? 34 tonight. 34. Trae had 34. 9 assists, 9 for 16 shooting, 12-14 from the free throw line. 12 of 14 from the free throw line. I can't stand the way he baits fouls. I absolutely hate it. I hate it. He takes advantage of his size, and he just leans all the way into the foul calls. If you breathe on him, he's doing a cartwheel and rolling on the floor. I cannot stand watching him bait for foul calls the way he does. It is so annoying. But anyway, getting back to Ausar, that's what makes it hard to guard him. But Ausar had a tough task guarding him, man. He did a solid job. A lot of the foul calls they called were not fouls, man. They're not fouls. But like I mentioned, he's always just falling over whenever he gets touched. You can't even play defense on it. I don't understand how you're supposed to play defense on Trae Young. Because you're not allowed to touch him at all. Asar's got great foot speed. He's got great length. He's much taller than Trae, who's a smaller guard at 6'1" on a good day. But he can't touch him. So I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. But once again, that's why you don't want to be in a close game like this. Because when it comes down to it, he's going to get those calls. Home or not, he's going to get those calls. And he understands how to do that well. Even though I can't stand it, he understands how to do it well. So that was tough for Ausar, but Ausar was still effective. I mentioned this last game. Asar's ability to push the ball off the rebound is very, very important for this team, right? He can push it and he can go. Grab the board and go. And that puts so much pressure on defenses, and you saw it lead to easy buckets offensively, right? He got the rebound. He pushed the ball. He wasn't looking for Cade. He wasn't looking for anybody else. He just pushed it. He was able to catch a few. He caught guys for alley-oops. He caught guys for easy layups, like Tobias and things like that. So I want to see him continue to do that. Continue to push the ball, right? When he does that, he is really effective. I'm not saying looking to get downhill to score, right? But just get the ball past half court and make the defense choose. Because when you push the ball like that, like I said last show, when you push the ball like that, it makes the defense hard to set up. And they're just trying to find a body. They're trying to find a guy. And a lot of time when you're just trying to find a guy, you're going to be matched on the wrong guy. So you're going to have mismatches. You're going to have JD under the hoop with a smaller guy. You're going to have Cade on the perimeter with a bigger guy. You have an advantage. So that's why I want to see Ausar continue to push the ball. Let's take a pause for a second. 100% Mega Hustler. We would have won this game if Jaden was playing. Easily. Easily. Because those leads we have when Cade sits down are not going to disappear like that. I'm not saying Jaden is a perfect point guard yet. He's not. But he's not going to allow the lead to just disappear like that, the way it did tonight, the way it did yesterday in spurts in the game. It's not going to happen. So he is missed, and I hope everybody is understanding the importance that he has on this team. Again. All right, let's keep going. Good point by Mega Hustler. I totally agree. Totally agree. 2 more guys in the starting lineup. Tobias Harris, man. Tobias Harris balled out again, guys. This is the 3rd straight game now where he has played very, very well on both ends of the court. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 8 for 13 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He couldn't buy a 3 tonight. 6 for 7 from the free throw line in 35 minutes. Tobias has been logging heavy minutes and still delivering. He delivered again tonight. He got his offense going early. He was very, very good out of the mid-post. But not even just his offense. His effort on both ends of the court, man. He distributed pretty well tonight as well. He made a lot of big plays. And in that fourth quarter, guys, he was super clutch. He was clutch in that fourth quarter. We don't have a chance in that fourth quarter without him. He made play after play after play after play. Whether it was a block, whether it was a steal, whether it was a big rebound, whether it was a oop pass, he was doing everything in that fourth quarter. Shout out to Tobias Harris, man. He has been balling. A lot of people early in the season, myself included at times, not nearly how it was with other people, were getting on him, saying trade him, he's washed, all these different. I'm not hearing that anymore. What happened? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? I'm just saying. He has to keep it up for sure. But he seems to have caught his rhythm, and now we're seeing the Tobias Harris we wanted to see when he first got here. He showed up. And he's continuing to show up. Tobias Harris, once again, great game. Great game. If we get this kind of production or anything close to this, I've always said I want to see a consistent 15 to 20 a game from Tobias with a few assists, few boards, maybe a steal or a block. That's really all we need. Just a consistent output offensively and giving the effort defensively. And he continues to do that. 3rd game in a row. I have nothing bad to say about Tobias Harris tonight. Nothing. He played amazing. Absolutely amazing. Good game from Tobias Harris again. Third game in a row. Shout out. Another guy who many people have been getting on, who was saying to trade because he was washed or because he's lazy or because he is not a good NBA player or he's not a good big or he doesn't care about basketball, whatever you want to say, is Jalen Duren, who again as well played a great game tonight. 18 points, 9 boards, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, only 2 fouls, again, on 8 for 10 shooting. 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Once again, I'm going to start there again. He continues to knock down his free throws. He is 85+% in the past month from the line. I say it all the time, after starting the season, shooting 58%. He's flipped that number from 5'8" to 8'5". The boy is hooping. I can't believe how many people gave up on Jalen Duren so early in the season. I can't believe it. Why in the world would you trade a guy who was 21 years old, who finally has a coach who can really help to mold him into the guy he needs to be, when he's making $4 million? What are you going to get in return for that? What are you going to get in return for? That's what I understand. When people say trade JD, for what? For what? What are you going to get? What are you going to get? And why is there such a rush? Are we contending? Are we one piece away from getting to the finals? No. We have every young guy on this team has holes in their game they need to improve on. Every single one. Outside of Cade, every player has things they need to work on. So why are we singling out JD? Why are we doing that? I don't understand. The guy is playing very good basketball right now. He defended the paint extremely well tonight. Extremely well tonight, especially in that fourth quarter, man. He was all over the boards. Offensive rebound after offensive rebound. I'm not even talking about the offense. The way he was contesting shots at the rim over and over and over again. The way he was attacking the glass, regardless of where the shot was taken, the level of difficulty it was, whether he thought it was going in or not, it didn't matter. He was attacking the glass. If the shot went in, he was jumping up and coming right back down and going down the court. That's what I'm talking about. He is looking more and more from an energy and effort standpoint like Isaiah Stewart. The things that Stu does with his limitations, but he is able to negate that because of his motor and the way he plays the game, physicality, intensity, high energy. Stu was able to negate his lack of size and his lack of athleticism because of how he plays and how he attacks. Jalen Duren is starting to do the same things now, and you're seeing that he's doing it at times at a higher level than Stu because he has the size, because he has the athleticism. If he commits the way Stu does, he is going to be a very, very good big in his league, and he was tonight, and he was the previous game, and the game before that, and the game before that. Why in the world are we talking about trading this guy? I don't understand it. This is why we are not GMs. This is why. This is exactly why we're not GMs. Imagine him going to another team that actually gives him patience. 2 or 3 years from now, he could be an all-star. He is that good of a player. He's that good. He's literally that good. He's that talented of a player. So anybody who's saying trade JD or I want to see him focused on the defensive end of the floor, you're getting it. You're getting it right now. He is committed to that end of the floor. He is a force in that painted area. When he commits, he cannot be stopped. He can't. Unless he's playing somebody like Wemby or a big body guy like Jokic, he cannot be stopped in that painted area. And he's continued to show it over and over again. And now he realizes it. JB Bickerstaff said pregame that he is committing to that end of the floor first. Defense first. Defense first. He is committed to that end of the floor. And now you're seeing the results. You're seeing it. You're seeing how well, you're seeing what he can be. So once again, JD, another great performance. He is growing before our very eyes. And he is committed to the defensive end 100%. He understands exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and he's doing it. He's setting great screens. He's running up early in the season, right? He was setting bad screens. He wasn't setting proper screens. A lot of times, he was getting called for offensive fouls. How many did he get tonight? 0. And other times in the beginning of the season, when he wasn't getting offensive fouls, he was setting very soft screens because he didn't understand how to set them properly when it came to the chemistry with him and Cade. So there'd be very soft screens. Cade would have no room coming off it, and now you got nothing. Cade's defender's right back in front of him. No space to get into the paint. Not anymore. He's setting hard screens, and he's rolling, and he's getting rewarded with lob after lob after lob. How many alley-oop dunks did we see tonight, guys? How many easy points did he get? How many assists did Cade get as a result of that? It's a reason that JD shot 8 for 10 tonight. Again, he's shooting over 70% on the season. 80% tonight. Knocking down his free throws. Playing great defense. Not fouling out. 2 fouls. What more do you want from this dude? He's 21. He's 21. Imagine him and Cade 3 years from now. Think about it. Why would you trade him? For what? What are you going to get in return? If you traded him early in the season when he wasn't playing well, what in the world are you going to get in return? A second-round pick? His value was low. That makes absolutely no sense to trade a guy when their value is low and they're a baby in this league. Y'all got to think, man. Not all of you, but some of y'all got to really think about this, man, because you're not making any sense at all with what you're talking about. A lot of it is just impatience. You want us to be a championship team right now. It doesn't work that way. When you have a young team, you can't rush the process. You have to go through the growing pains. You have to go through the growing pains. This is the result of going through those growing pains. And they're not done. There's going to be more growing pains. A lot more. But with those, you're going to see guys take 1 step back, and then 2 weeks later, 2 steps forward. And then a week later, 2 steps back. And then a week later, 4 steps forward. It's all part of the process. Broderick, 100%. They said the same thing about Jaden. The same thing about Jaden. Let's trade Jaden. Let's get Devin Booker or somebody else. Why? What are you going to get in return? You can't trade Jaden for Devin Booker straight up. So what, you include Stu, the heart and soul of our team? What are we talking about? Y'all got to chill, man. I know I'm not usually like this animated, but some of the things y'all say don't make any sense. It don't make no sense at all. Not even just Jaden. Y'all were getting on Cade at the beginning of the season. All these turnovers, man. He's not a point guard. 10 turnovers? I don't think anybody's ever done that before. So what, you trade him too? Now look at him. 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio in back-to-back games. 15 assists yesterday, 3 turnovers. Tonight, 14 assists, 3 turnovers. You can't rush the process. You cannot rush the process, period. Which is why we are not GMs. If we did, we would have nothing but we would have 32nd round draft picks on our team and no players. Because that's all you're going to get in return for guys when they're growing, when their stock is low because they're growing and they're learning and they're young. You're not going to get anything in return. Nothing. Y'all got to chill, man. JD, once again, amazing game. Amazing game. Let me know one thing that you would want to see JD do tonight that he didn't do. One thing you want to see JD do tonight that he didn't do. What more would you like to see from JD that he did not provide tonight or last game or before that? I'll wait. I'm just saying, man, y'all got to stop. Y'all really got to stop. All right. Let's get to the bench now. I got that out the way. All right, man. So let's start with Beasley. Beasley had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover. On 6 for 11 shooting, 6 for 10 from 3. So all but one of his shots were 3-pointers. And that's not surprising. That's what Bees does. Once again, he's right in that 18 to 20-point range we talked about, right? It seems like every game, he's right in that 18 to 20-point range with 10 to 12 shots, right? And usually he's making more than half of them. That was the case again tonight, 6 for 11. So Bees did what Bees does, man. He is a great shooter. He is a top 3 shooter in the league. Hands down. Hands down. The way he gets him up and the way he puts him down, man, is incredible. Sometimes they're not even in rhythm. But he's a worker, man. Before the game, he was getting up threes. I saw a clip tonight where he hit 15 straight threes. Maybe it was 20 straight threes warming up. The boy, he's got a clip. He's got a clip, man. And he can, I mean, I got nothing bad to say. That's what Bees does. Bees has punched his ticket, in my opinion, to the 3-point shootout. I've been saying that since, I don't know what, November? That he should be in the All-Star game or All-Star weekend, the 3-point shootout. And once again, he's looking like he may be challenging for that 6th Man of the Year award as well. He's doing exactly what we need him to do, man. Great game again from Malik Beasley. That's what's so frustrating. We had all these great performances in a loss. Unnecessary. This should not have been a loss. No way. When you see how fast the Pistons took the lead back when they were down double digits, and 2 minutes into the third quarter, you got Atlanta calling timeout because the Pistons got the lead. That's how you know the Pistons should have won this game. That's how you know they should have won this game. But when you don't have a balanced enough team, and when your main guy sits down, and the league just disappears because you have no point guard play, this is what happens. So Beasley played great, man. Let's get to Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart had 10 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 4 for 6 shooting in 19 minutes, 2 for 3 from the free throw line. So Stu, once again, did his thing. And I'm noticing with Stu, he's adding more and more to his bag. He's adding more and more to his bag. We know defensively what he is, but we know he's an enforcer. We know he's a tone setter. You know, high motor guy, always runs hot, right? But now we're seeing his offensive bags get a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. We saw his vision tonight, right? Out of the double, catching the pass out of a double team, he's making passes now out of the post to cutters, much like how Paul Reed does. But now Stu is doing it, finding guys like Tobias Harris for easy buckets under the hoop. His vision is improving, right? We're also seeing him putting the ball on the floor in spots, right? Not all the time, but in spots. When it's there, he's putting the ball on the floor and he's getting to the hoop and finishing through contact, getting and ones, right? So he's still a work in progress offensively. He's never going to be an offensive force, but he's going to be a very efficient offensive player, a very reliable offensive player, right? Not high volume, right? Lower volume, but efficient with that volume. And tonight you're seeing him add more and more to his bag. And the thing about Stu, which is great, is that even though he's doing that offensively, we know that whatever he adds offensively is not going to be at the expense of what he brings defensively. You're not going to see him looking to get involved offensively and getting 15 points a game, but he's not protecting the rim. He's still going to be who he is at his core defensively. He's just going to slowly add a little bit more offensively. Slowly add this, slowly add that. And that's what's going to make him a very, very good player for this team because he's going to be very, very solid on both ends, reliable on both ends. So he's going to continue to work and get better. And we know that he's not going to trade off his defense for his offense. He's going to continue to get better on both sides of the ball. So great game from Stu again. I love to see it. I love to see it, man. Love to see it. A few more guys we'll get to and we'll get out of here. Ron Holland, man, 6 points, 3 boards, 1 assist on 2 for 3 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 1 for 1 from the free throw line, 16 minutes. So Ron didn't have a stellar stat sheet or he didn't stuff the stat sheet, but Ron brought energy, man. He made some great energy plays tonight. Once again, it seems like every time he makes a big play, what does he do? He turns to the crowd and says, hey, get us into this game. Come on, help us out. Let's go. He is the ultimate X factor when it comes to home court advantage because of the hustle plays that he makes. Fans in Detroiters love hustle plays. That's what we are built. That's what we've always been built on, whether it was the bad boys or the going to work teams that won championships. We love the hustle plays. We love hard play, tough play. And that's what Ron Holland does. That's why every time you see Ron Holland make a play, the crowd goes crazy. Because most of the time it's a hustle play. You don't see the crowd usually going crazy over Ron over a 3. It's over a steal or a block or a forced turnover. That's when you see the crowd get excited because they appreciate that. And he appreciates that appreciation. That's why he's always engaging with them. Ron Holland, man, I love what I'm seeing, man. Once again, he didn't have a huge stat line, but just the intangibles that he brings to this team as a rookie is going to be very, very important for this team, in my opinion, for a long time. There's no way I think they're going to let him go anytime soon. When it's time for extension time, the Pistons are going to extend him. You could pretty much take that to the bank. Good game from Ron, man. 2 more guys and we'll get out of here. Fontecchio, man, 4 points, 1 for 3 shooting, 2 for 2 from the line in 16 minutes. So Fontecchio didn't do much tonight. He didn't really give us much tonight. The 3 ball wasn't going. Like I always say, he does give us solid defense, But I don't know why the Pistons played him the way they did tonight when off the bench, he had to go up against a guy like Larry Nance Jr., who was much bigger than him. Larry Nance Jr. was getting rebounds off. Larry Nance Jr. off the bench. Here's the point. Larry Nance Jr. off the bench had 10 boards. That led the team for the Atlanta. In large part because he was having to get those boards against a smaller Fontecchio. Where is Paul Reed? Where is Paul Reed? Why isn't Paul Reed in the game when you got Larry Nance, who's much bigger in the game? That was very confusing. So many times you could see Fontecchio trying to seal off Larry Nance, but he couldn't. He's not big enough. And he'd get offensive board, easy putback, right? I wanted to see Paul Reed tonight. Paul Reed could have really negated and made that a much different story in that second unit. I'm not saying he would have changed everything, but exactly, Bryce, he needed to be in this game tonight. He needed to be in this game tonight. Just his size alone could have been very, very helpful for this team. And maybe his shooting, because Fontecchio didn't give us much. I'm not faulting him for that, because the shots that he took, for the most part, were the shots I want to see, right? In rhythm from three. Just didn't fall. It's okay. But you can't play him against bigger guys and expect him to be effective. It's just not going to work. NB, well, that could be the case. They could be showcasing certain plays for a trade. Maybe. If February 6th comes and this is the same team we have, I'm going to be very, very, very disappointed. Like I said, just based off of the expectation that was put out there. If it was put out there that we're just going to try to have a development year and try to improve on last year and develop an identity and, build some consistency, okay, cool. But when you say we're trying to get to the playoff, we're trying to make a push for the playoffs, we're trying to really make some noise in the playoffs, okay, show me. Show me. That's where I'm at. Show me. Straight up. So yeah, I just hope that Trajan doesn't sit in his hands. And I'm not saying he is. He's probably not. But once again, man, it's not that hard to get a backup point guard to do the things that we need this team to do. If we're looking for a starting center or a starting shooting guard, something like that's different. But we're not talking about CJ McCollum, guys with huge contracts that may make it harder to trade as far as what goes into it. We're talking about a backup point guard that is available because the team is making them available for a small price. Man, yes, I will. I will have a Kool-Aid smile straight up if we make any kind of move like that. So we'll see. We'll see. One more guy we'll get to, and we've already kind of talked about him. I'm not going to get on too hard because we already talked about it. Marcus Sasser, 2 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 0 for 1 shooting, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 10 minutes. So I talked about the assist to turnover ratio, right, with Cade. Today, Sasser had a 1-to-1. It's not good. You don't want to have as many turnovers as you do assists. And that's what he had tonight. Tonight, he was a minus 12, plus minus. That's second worst on the team. Minus 12. So, once again, it's not totally his fault because he's just not a point guard. Right? But the Pistons need to do something soon. Or if they don't, you're going to continue to see 2 points, 2 turnovers, 2 assists from Sasser. It's just not putting him in the best position to be successful. That's why I'm not going to get on him. Because his game is his game. And if you're going to ask him to change his game, you have to live with the growing pains. And if you're trying to contend for a championship, or not a championship, but contend for the playoffs, you can't afford that. You got to make sure you have a proper team constructed in order to put these guys in good position to be successful. That's it. It's not that hard, man. So that's what I want to see, man. I'm not going to get on it too much. Marcus disaster. That's actually hilarious, man. But yeah, we definitely got to make a move, man. They got to make a move. I like Sasser, but just like Tech, they don't. I just feel like as of right now, the way the team is constructed, it doesn't work. Because guess what? Both of those guys will benefit from what? A backup point guard. What do we say? We want both of those guys doing very specific things. We want Sasser to score, get buckets, and he could do that in a myriad of ways. You've seen his back. He's got a deep back. He gets great score. But he needs a point guard to set him up. Fontecchio, what do I always say? Don't put the ball on the floor. Don't try to create. Just get the catch and shoot. catch and shoot. What does that also require? A point guard. So both of these guys, to Devin's point, don't fit right now because we don't have that. So they are going to continue to struggle unless we get that and address that need. So I'm gonna leave it there, y'all. I had to get this off. I was very, very upset watching this game. It was very, very frustrating. Yeah, and so we'll see what happens in the next few days. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna have my eyes watching like a hawk to see what happens these next few days. But the Pistons gotta do something. They gotta do something. So next game is against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday, and that's gonna be a tough game. The Pistons right now. They had a chance to go up 2 games above 500, but now they're at 25-25, and now they are possibly going to fall underneath 500 again, unless they can beat the Cavaliers, who are currently at 40-9 on the season. So it's going to be a tough game, but we'll see what happens. So as always, guys, I appreciate you guys showing up and showing out as you always do. As always, I appreciate you guys' support. You guys are real, man. I love talking basketball with you guys. I love spending time with you guys after the games. It helps me go to sleep better at night a little bit just because I got it off and I ain't got to talk to myself. I can talk to you guys about it and you guys can talk to me about it. So hopefully we were able to kind of get this off together. So as we always say, appreciate you hanging with your boy. I'll catch you guys Wednesday in Detroit versus everybody. Peace.